All right, Bernie, are we ready? Are we ready to explain the unconscious self? Welcome to the Midwest, my friends. My name is Jesse, and I've gotten a lot of questions since releasing the Language of Breath online course. What is this unconscious self? Of course, in the course, I teach a person how to become more in touch with that part of ourselves. But hey, it's okay. We need a little clarification. Let's do that right now. First, I'd like to say thank you to MagicMind for sponsoring this channel and sponsoring this video. More about that in just a minute. Come on, Bern. Bernie loves to smell every little thing. There's a misunderstanding about what we are as humans. There is this belief, or at least this belief that is at the foundation of it, that we are an operator of a machine. That we have this mind that drives around this flesh robot. And at the heart of it is really a slave and a master type of a relationship. And I think it's really destructive how this has happened. And this is how I understood it most of my life. And then as I continue to research, as I worked in breathwork for many, many years, I came to understand it differently, and this is what the foundation of the Language of Breath program is all about. Right now, I'm taking in about 11,000 pieces of information, but I can only consciously process about 40 to 50 pieces of information. Now, all of that excess information does not go to waste, though, because underneath my conscious awareness is my unconscious awareness of the world around me. And it is informing my conscious self as to what I should think about, as to what I should be concerned about, where I should put my focus. I'm not meticulously combing through every piece of information. Are there snakes? Are there spiders? What's rustling in the bushes? What's the temperature? All these things. I'm not consciously doing all this, but on an unconscious level, I am. So the Language of Breath sees the human experience not as a master and slave being pulled by Bernie, who's decided he needed to smell and pee again. We see this as a relationship, as a partnership. At all times, you are having a conscious and an unconscious experience, and you cannot turn your unconscious off. The unconscious self is always observing, always listening, and it's always speaking to you. So there's always signals being sent to and from your unconscious self. And so when we say, what is the unconscious self? Well, let's talk about this. But first, I want to just tell you a little bit about the sponsor, MagicMind, real quick, and then I'll get back to it, okay? So I promise this will be fast. So MagicMind is an all-natural nootropic that I use every single day. I've been using it about 6 months. And I'm going to tie it into the unconscious self here. So when it comes down to my exercise programs, I go to the gym. I get it. I get with it, you know? I try to get the most out of my workouts, and I try to exercise every single day, at least 5 days a week, and I really try to hit it hard. Well, what happens is one of the processes that the unconscious self is doing, always trying to help you to survive, by the way. The unconscious self is going to change your physical expression so that you can benefit from the situation that it perceives. Okay, so when it comes to vigorous exercise, we get a lot of the same physical expression as our ancestors did during the hunt, during war, during dangerous times. Now, sometimes we call it fight or flight. I don't use that terminology too much these days, but it's pretty common. So you might have heard of that. Generally, we consider this to be a sympathetic dominant state. And there might be emotions that go along with it. There might be a lot of other things that go along with it. When this happens, we get a change in our physical expression and our hormonal profile. So this changes our catecholamines. So we get a rush of catecholamines. Those are stress hormones. One of those stress hormones is cortisol. Cortisol is amazing. It actually is a very good thing. It always gets such a bad rap. But in small doses, cortisol boosts your immune system, reduces inflammation, has a whole host of benefits in small doses, right? So whenever I'm working out, if I'm doing that vigorously, like I try to do, I will get a cortisol boost. Cortisol also reduces testosterone. So as soon as I'm done working out, I take MagicMind in addition to my post-workout breathwork protocol to bring my physical expression back into a state where I can benefit from that exercise. There's been a lot of research that shows that you're in that catabolic state up to 4 hours after vigorous exercise, and I don't want that. So that's one of the reasons why I take MagicMind. In addition to that, it's got just a little bit of a caffeine boost. It's about 40 milligrams of caffeine, adaptogens, all those other things that help me stay focused the rest of the day. So thank you to MagicMind. If you want to learn more about MagicMind, take a look at my links below. I also have a coupon code. Now, having said that, see, I put even in the MagicMind talk, I'm talking about the unconscious self. So the unconscious self, how do you define that, right? How do we define it in the language of breath? We define the unconscious self as pretty much everything about you that is not the conscious thinking you. So that's a lot of you, right? That is your physical expression. That is your cell replication, your heart rate, your vasoconstriction, vasodilation. That is your emotions. That is your nervous system. So, like I said before, we got about 11,000 pieces of information that are coming in, and we can only consciously process about 40 to 50. All of those other pieces of information are forming the premise of the relationship that you as a relationship, okay, so there's a relationship that is you, and then that has a relationship with the world around you. And then there's also this relationship that is you, your relationship to your friends, your relationship to others. So everything, the way we look at it in the language of breath philosophy is relationship driven. It's not slave master. It's not function. Every year, so we're on my second year, as of this video, of the language of breath Breathworker school. And we're full right now. We always fill up really fast. And but you can apply for next year very soon. To go to languageofbreathcollective.com. You'll take a look. It's in the links below. But every year I get people who are like, if I control my breath, then I control my emotions, and then I control my thoughts, and then I can control my body. It's all control. What kind of a relationship is that? Like, would you want to be in a relationship like that? That is no relationship that I want to be in. In fact, in the language of breath, we say, if your goal is control, then you'll never get to rest. So our goal in the language of breath philosophy is to build a positive relationship within you, between your conscious self and your unconscious self, so that you can have union. You can have a whole self that works with itself as opposed to against itself. And based off of how well that relationship is going, that is also going to be affected by the outside world, and it will affect how you look at the outside world. When we work with breathwork, we think a lot of times too much about techniques. And instead, we should be thinking more about forming that relationship. It's not put commands into the robot. It's how do I listen? How do I speak? And this is what we do in the course. This is what we do in the language of breath philosophy. We learn to listen to the voice of the unconscious, and we learn how to speak back. Not so that we can control, so that we can form a positive relationship. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have questions, let me know. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another.